Last night on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Jessica Guay. Appreciate that, and good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is where we talk to you every single night of the week on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's 412-575-2600. You can also hit us up on Twitter at KDPomp, at the Pony Express. Andrew, good evening to you. We have a lot to get into, which we will in a second. The Penguins get a big win. But I wanted to start it with tonight's show with this interview with Art Rooney. We played it earlier, and the interview itself went 21 minutes. We had to cut it down for television's sake. So I want you to listen, and then we can respond. Is that all right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we'll do it. Earlier, I heard you use the word urgency last week. Define what urgency is for you and what needs to happen for people to respond to the urgency.
Well, I made the comment that, for a lot of us who've been in the organization for a while, and I include Mike Tomlin in this, we are getting impatient. We want to take that next step. We want to win playoff games and go deep into the postseason.
And Art Rooney plans to continue in that effort with head coach Mike Tomlin alongside, even though Tomlin's teams have not won a playoff game since 2016. Mike's been here for a long time, 17 years. You guys are the model for stability. You have doubled down on the fact that Mike Tomlin is still your man. What makes you think he could be the head coach that can lead you to where you need to go?
When you see Mike's interaction with players in the building and certainly the respect that particularly the veteran players have for him and their belief in him, Mike is one of the best coaches in the league as far as I'm concerned, and we're happy we have him.
What did you see or what did the group see with Arthur Smith that made you think he was the right man for the job?
Arthur has great experience, obviously, as a coordinator in Tennessee for a few years there, and then as a head coach, that's great experience. And he just seemed like a good fit, and Mike was very comfortable with him.
So I remember at Mike Tomlin's final press conference, he said it would be kind of a three-man search committee with you, Omar, and him. Was that how it worked out? Was it a group hire, or was it Mike's hire, which has typically been the case?
No, it's Mike's hire. I mean, look, the head coaches hire their coordinators, and to the extent Omar and I could be helpful, we tried to be, but it's Mike's hire.
And part of Smith's role will be the development of his quarterback, specifically Pickett, who Rooney says needs to take the next step this season. What would the next step look like, from your point of view, with him specifically?
Well, the next step, number one, would look like more points week in, week out. So, just being a more effective offense. We'll see. He may have options too, but we've kept the door open to continue those conversations.
Even if he does, you still need more in your quarterback room. So, you guys have gone out of the box recently and doing some things that really historically you haven't done. Would you be willing to make a trade for a current quarterback if the price was right in that kind of a situation?
Well, as we sit here in early February, we're not closing the door on anything. We have a lot of evaluations to go through, and we'll go through all the options and, do what we need to do to be better this coming season.
So that was part of the interview with Art Rooney II. I thought he was pretty open about his belief that they need help in that quarterback room, and obviously just from a personnel standpoint, you got to have more than a couple, even if Rudolph does sign. But he didn't slam the door on anything, and quite frankly, Andrew, I would expect that given the fact that here we are in February, and there's still a lot of transactional stuff that has to happen over the next several weeks in the NFL.
Bob, some of those questions were outstanding by you. You're like a combination of Howard Stern, Barbara Walters, Mike Wallace. Okay. No, seriously. I mean, what you did was you heard what Art said at his press conference with reporters, and you took that information and you used it to craft some really, I think, pointed questions. So kudos to you for that. From what I've seen, fantastic job. You bet. The last answer, I mean, that's going to be the thing I think that generates the big headlines, that the door's open for a trade. Because there are going to be guys available, like Russell Wilson in free agency, Justin Fields, because the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams 1 overall, or going to attempt to. If not, they're going to take another quarterback because maybe they'll trade out of the first pick and go down to 2 and take Drake May. I mean, those are the things that are being discussed right now. But I heard that answer, Bob, and it made me think that for right now, Kenny Pickett is their quarterback, but that's not a 100% guarantee if certain players become available in the next month or so. And that's a big deal. And that goes to show that maybe that urgency that you talked about at the beginning of the interview might manifest in them doing something aggressive to make that position better.
Yeah, and I think they're keeping everything open. I think they're legitimately doing that, and they've done it before by doing some stuff, as I said, that we don't normally expect from the Steelers. We'll get more reaction to that. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from the Steelers today, who remember the late Toby Keith. Hard to believe he died last night at the age of 62 on October 7th, 2001. It was Toby Keith who sang the national anthem of the very first game back when it was Hines Field, and today they remember his life and legacy, and way too soon for a guy who really has been a big supporter of military families, and hate to see that. Stomach cancer, all cancers are awful, and we certainly hope that they can make more strides in trying to eventually eliminate it, although there have been a lot of strides in trying to extend people's lives, and we've seen that, but in this case it was just too late for that to happen, and we wish the best to the Toby Keith family. All right, I want to talk also, before we go to the lines here, Andrew, about tonight's Penguin game. It was a big one. And Tristan Jarry is looking like he is a guy who is playing the way Mike Sullivan and Kyle Dubas expected him to play when they signed him to a deal that a lot of people had questions about, including us, about the length of it. I didn't so much mind $5 million a year, but when he plays the way he's capable of, he looks like one of the better goaltenders in the league. And tonight he was outstanding, especially late.
And the net front presence. Gensel, hey, he goes to the net in that situation and camps himself in front, but he's so small. Carter's a big body. Reminds me of either Hornquist from his Penguins days, or even when they had Bill Guerin late in his career. He would do a lot of that in power play situations. So, it worked tonight. That screen is vital. Zdeno Chara used to do a lot of that for Boston, too, in those situations. So I think why not? You're one of the league's worst power plays. You might as well mix it up.
All right, let's go to the lines. We have a lot of people want to talk, beginning with our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. That would be Harvey in Homestead. Harvey, you are on the air.
Hey, listen, how you fellas doing, okay?
Yep, thanks.
Yep. Hi, Harvey.
All right, now listen, I got a real good quarterback for you fellas. Why don't you go get Colin Kaepernick, give him a tryout. He's a real good player. I think he's better than both of them guys we got right now. He's better than Rudolph. And he's better than
It's been too long, Harvey, and quite frankly, he wasn't a good player at the end of his career or the time he played, Andrew. I think that ship has pretty much sailed.
Hasn't played since 2017, I don't believe. A lot of these guys, who else are they going to get? Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell?
Well, Le'Veon
back
wants
on the
to
team.
play.
Although Bell reminded me, though, he said, I'm not going to start training until March 1st. That's like when I say my diet starts next Monday. But for right now, I'm going to keep eating and doing all the bad habits that have sunk in and going home at 11:30 and eating potato chips and pretzels till 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's my problem. Well, thank you for reminding me, Andrew. Let's go to Denny in Richland Township. Hey, Denny.
Hey, Denny.
How you guys doing? Hey, I have a comment
Dan.
and a question. I heard Bob Pompeani last night talking about Hines Ward. I think that would be a great asset to the Steelers, just for his reputation, the way he played, and also hopefully to straighten out those two guys, wide receivers don't know how to block or really do much to help the team. And my question for Bob is, whatever happened to John Gruden? I mean, I think he's a great offensive mind, a great quarterbacks coach, and I just wonder if he's been blackballed from the league because of what happened a few years ago, or what is his...
I think that's been the case, Danny. I think he's been, in that situation where he's not going to get another chance. I know that there were some people interested in him as an offensive coordinator, perhaps. I don't know about head coach, Andrew. What's your take on him, and do we ever see him again in the NFL?
Maybe in a consulting role. I mean, so much stuff came out during that Washington investigation. He got caught up in that. Emails got leaked. Words got used. Things that the NFL obviously wants no part of. He was a great broadcaster when he did Monday Night Football for those years. So maybe time will heal some wounds. He'll, do more mea culpas, and eventually maybe those things will soften. But I don't see him as a head coach again, and I'm not sure, given the money he's owed by the Raiders, he wants to just be an offensive coordinator and work for someone else. Takes a lot to swallow your pride there. Bob, he brought up something, though, that goes back to what you said to Art Rooney. And Art said to you with Mike, look at the way the young players the players respond to Mike Tomlin. That's why he's still the right coach for this team. Well, does Art feel that way about Deontay Johnson and George Pickens? Yeah, those guys put it together at the very end of the year, but some of their nincompoop plays in the middle of the season were part of why they lost to teams that they should have beaten during that stretch. So I don't know about that. I mean, just because they got it figured out late, it didn't seem like they were getting the Mike Tomlin message at other points in the season, and that took away from efforts that were necessary to win critical games.
Yeah, a lot of words were used today, like accountability. And by the way, I did ask Art about Hines Ward or anyone else who would fit that wide receiver opening, and we'll have more on that coming up tomorrow. But another name I'd like to throw out, and I did, was Antoine Randall. He's actually been doing this a little bit, Andrew. And I don't think you have to be an ex-Steeler to be a Steeler coach, but he's gotten some experience in that regard, and he certainly knows what he's doing there. As we saw it here as a professional, and you saw what he could do when he was in college. But what would be your take on a guy like him getting an opportunity there?
Antoine Randall has been around other great coaches, followed Bruce Arians. He was in Detroit with the Lions, all the success they had, Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys like that. But I am a proponent of Hines. You know, I think that he, too, is not just an old Steeler name that gets thrown out there. He was a Jets wide receivers coach, and he was willing to go to the XFL and coach there. So this is someone that's committed to the profession and the job and is willing to get better and go down into the lower ranks of football to improve his coaching ability. So count me down as someone that would love to see Hines Ward come back to the Steelers organization. Yeah,
I would totally agree with that. And I talked to him recently about just this experience. We were talking about something else from a social point of view that he was getting involved in. And, you know, he said after he was an intern here with the Steelers, I think it was 2017, that he decided to do whatever he could do to get that on his resume. So it's on there now. And, you know, he's a big accountability guy, so you wonder how that's going to go. But I would imagine they're going to have that answer. Wouldn't you think rather soon? They're going to have to start that process if they haven't already. I'm sure Mike Tomlin has. And get somebody in here, you know, within the next couple of weeks.
I want to know what's going to happen with Mike Sullivan, not the Penguins coach, but the offensive play caller from last year, because he interviewed for OC jobs, didn't get them. And now Arthur Smith is in charge. Is he going to come back here and be the quarterback's coach? I thought yes for a while. Now we're hearing maybe not. They're doing other interviews with other guys looking around. I think that's good to pick some brains and talk to some other people with fresh ideas. Running backs coach too. Is Eddie Faulkner going to be willing to now go from offensive coordinator back to his position job, which, to Faulkner's credit, I thought they did a good job of balancing the two backs this year. Warren and Najee getting production from both guys, which hadn't happened in years under Mike Tomlin. So those two questions hanging out there too, Bob, as far as the offensive staff goes.
We have a tweet here, and this is from Penumbra, who says, why don't you guys talk more about the Penguins' power play? They go 2 for 3 and crickets, but you better believe if they went 0 for 3, we'd be hearing about it. Well, we did talk about it. We showed highlights of it. Yeah, I mean, if they're 13.1, we do need to talk about it. It is a situation that should not be this way after last year. I thought 21% for that group was unacceptable. They bring in Carlson, and all of a sudden it drips to 13%. Anyway, Pony, I want to get your thoughts on Oilers Golden Knights, because tonight Edmonton can tie the Penguins' all-time win record at 17. It's 1-1 after 1 at Vegas. If Vegas doesn't have enough going on, they have this too.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Golden Knights, Bob. You know, it's a record that 93 team, which is one of the great teams to never win a championship. It really, I think, it signifies what that team was capable of. And if they lose that record, we'll still remember it in Pittsburgh. But I like their name being atop the list of having the best winning streak in NHL history. And plus, by the way, harder back then because they still had ties in the NHL. Yeah. Now you go to 3-on-3 or the shootout, and you can turn tie games into wins and keep winning streaks going. That wasn't the case when the Pens pulled that off now 30 years ago.
All right, we're in the second half of the season. We have 20 seconds. Are you more bullish of the Penguins making the playoffs right now or not?
Oh, I am such a big bull on that, Bob. I'm full of bull, you know what, on them. I think they're going to make the playoffs and win a playoff series.
I'd love to see it. It's high drama, and we haven't had that for a long time, and anything really around it. We need to get more of it. All right, Pony, thanks. Appreciate it. We'll do it again tomorrow night right here at 10:35. Call us. Air your opinions on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.